we need to understand what makes people the war generals or the people they are on the battlefield, and then what makes them human. And if we can understand what makes people human in the end, and sort of what's driving their thinking, and sort of what were all of these situations and events in their life that sort of led up to this point, then we can better understand how to resolve conflict. I think that many of us are too quick to say, I'm not saying, by no means looking at this as Assad is an okay guy, but I think a lot of us should say right off the bat, like, these are horrible people. We need to think about what got them to that point. Why are they thinking like that? I think we can understand those things and do a better job of thinking about how we resolve conflict.
One of the things that we were given when the Peacemaker came were his message of peace. And his message of peace sounds pretty simple, but it's not easy to follow. And the first was protocols to help people respect one another, nations respect one another, ways to go about greeting one another, ways to keep a good relationship. And the second was that of having equity, or situations where people will share food, share what they have. And so it was always one of our directors that when we go into the woods to go get food, we just take what we need and we bring it back and then we share it. And many of our men would go hunting with one bullet because they go get that one deer they needed and bring it home. So that idea of preservation is very important. But that idea of sharing and giving a place for everyone and equity. The third being a reminder. Now, we were in such a state of violence and war that many people had forgotten they had good minds to use. So the Peacemaker gave us a directive to use our good minds every day and to use that good mind to carry on peace. And when we think about it, we have thousands of thoughts each day, and we can be aware of where they go, and we can have an influence about which ones we follow. So you never get to the store to buy a gun to kill someone, because you know what your intention is for that gun. And we know that the Creator would not want us to destroy another human being. So there is that reminder of using good minds for peace. So let's see. And also that this effort from nation to nation, as the Peacemaker went through the different nations, he set up our peace chiefs, gave them their titles and went along and set up our government. But one of the things that I think we don't see in modern times amongst the world is that level of recognition of loss on a national level. We have a ceremony that's called Edge of the Woods ceremony. Now, in the old days, it's called this because the way you knew another nation was visiting was you would see their fire at the edge of the woods, and they would wait there. And our people would go and greet them. There would be a certain number of men that would be chosen to go to meet them. And when they met, they would do those first 3 wampums from the condolence ceremony. So the first thing they did was they recognized that we have had loss since we last saw one another. And your people have had loss since last we saw each other. And then, they're cleaned of the brambles that they've gathered along the way and refreshed. And then they're brought in to the fold back to the home where we were. So that effort was to recognize, I believe, this is my belief in this, is to bring out that compassion for one another. And then also realize that, do we want to go to that place where we're killing on each other left and right? Again, no. We want to recognize how serious death is in our lives. And we want to show compassion for one another. So yes, let's keep that peace going.
We have a sociologist and an anthropologist on the panel. When a conflict arises, how do you parse out the issue? What are the questions that we ask of a situation?
Well, I just look at continuities of violence, and we think about peace and conflict as, yes, peace and war is totally separate. I think, and this is why I was still thinking about Syria, so I'll bring that in. I think what I wonder about as I think about Syria right now is about how people continue certain notions of normalcy. I'm wondering about their everydayness. I'm wondering about how they fall in love, how they date. I wonder how they cook. I wonder how they read and what they read. I wonder about how they perceive international community. That there was a moment when some of them hoped some intervention would happen and it didn't happen. How does it translate into everyday life? So I'm wondering what this really means for everyday interactions. And I'm sometimes worried that we pay so much attention to the trauma. That these people, and the assumption that people who live through violence, and I think this builds to what Luke said, that war is a time of enormous violence, but it's also a space where so many other things happen. Intense emotion, recognition of humanity, friendships, family relationships, births, all sorts of very complex emotions. And I remember when the war in Bosnia ended and we were brought to the States, we had these retreats when we were observed by social psychologists who expected that we would be traumatized. And I worry about this kind of psychosocial dimension discourse of trauma being just put on whole groups of people. And then what we did, actually, each one of us ate 10 donuts so we could confuse the people. So we played the game and said, okay, let them think that they're really traumatized. So I'm just worried about the simplistic view of the war as just so brutal. It is horrible, but life still happens to people who create relationships. So when I study the war, I look at all sorts of complex issues that, political, economic, cultural, social, but I look also at violence very broadly. Physical violence is one aspect of violence, but structural and symbolic domains of violence exist in peace as well as war, and I look how they unfold and how they interact. I look at the oasis of peace during war, because that's what I want in Syria now. There are places of peace in Syria right now, and they're totally invisible to us. And I wonder about how, when the official war ends, how conflict still continues, and it does, because oftentimes the same leaders are in charge of what the international relations are. So this is what I look at continuity across these differences. I look at continuation of different forms of violence, because I think when we focus on the physical, we totally neglect everything else that goes into it, right? And I look at violence not necessarily as something extraordinary. And I think violence actually manages to itself more realized. And that's where I think all of this is what we did in your life. So those are dimensions. I know I'm jumping around, but you provoked it.
Lou, how about you?
I put an emphasis on analysis and resolution of conflicts, and so analytically, that there are these two entities, actors who have some grievance, one or the other, so we figure out what is the grievance. Who are they that think that, who do they blame for the grievance that they have, and what can they do to fix it? How can they make the other side change in ways that will resolve their grievance? So you can see ways of changing each aspect of that. We have to first understand how they each see that. Most times people see themselves as good and vulnerable, and the other side is doing them badly. And they must be bad, because otherwise they would recognize that we are good, and they wouldn't treat us this way. But I guess my own emphasis recently is to look particularly at alternative ways of making change and dealing with conflict in more constructive ways which take into account, to some extent, the way the other people are seeing it.
Alma, you have expressed incredible optimism and activism, and you say that you got engaged sort of after the traumas. What sparked you into this position of activism? Where does that come from?
Well, first I'd like to tie into a little bit of Professor Pava, because
discussion earlier, and then I can get to that question as well. I think this is actually your influence, probably from taking classes with her, too many classes, and having too many conversations. But really, I think that one of the major problems, and this is probably an answer to your question as well, that we have is that we think of peace and war in terms of two binaries. We think that they are exclusive, that they're mutually exclusive of each other. And we don't really see this gray area where they exist together. Particularly, like Asma as well, I generally, even during the war, after, my experiences listening to the stories of, let's say, my parents and the community members that I lived with, it's interesting that very rarely they don't talk about the war. I mean, they don't talk about the war itself, the violence of the war. They talk about what happened, the beautiful life that they had before the war. They talk about what they planned during the war for after the war. And we have to understand that while violence is occurring, at that very moment, that the decision for violence is taken, the decision by people for peace is also taken. And institutions arise. You have, humanitarian intervention right away. You have dialogue groups that are existing in the moment of violence. And that is where I think I drew my optimism from, and where I drew my activism from. Because I know here we are, I guess, from my own personal experience, 15 years after the war, and I see, for example, in St. Louis, 60,000 Bosnian refugees. I see in Utica, 6,000, here 3,000. And we build communities, we build our lives, we're still having weddings and births, we're still having this coffee culture, sitting in cafes and talking about the good old days, what happened in the past, and how we can build a future for it. We're not really focusing on just negative. And that's where you gain, like Professor Friesberg said, there's hopelessness, If we focus on that hopelessness, if we see only hopelessness, let's say in Syria, in Egypt, in all of this across the world, if we see that nothing, there is no room for creative imagination. There's no room whatsoever for improvement. Whatsoever. You only see a dark hole at the end of it. You only see a dark tunnel, and at the end, a door that shuts you out to anything else that could possibly constitute maybe a peaceful society, that could constitute collaboration, that could constitute open dialogue. So I guess in answer to your question, why am I here? Why did I choose the sense of activism? I'm going to tell a story too, actually. Now I'm jumping around. I feel like I was in Turkey this summer and I was teaching English on the border of Iran in a city that was devastated by an earthquake. And in the conversations that I had with people there, I thought, God, what has God done to these people? They are in an area that is relatively poor. They're in an area that has ongoing tensions between Turkish culture and Kurds, a very loaded political issue today. They're in an area where, it's a very unstable life. It's a very unstable daily living. You don't know what the next day will bring. And then you have this devastation with an earthquake that basically decimated the city. Decimated anything. The only city center remained. 650 people died just in that little area. And I asked them 2 years, a year and a half after this, earthquake, how do you live your daily life? And they said, what do you mean, how do you live our daily life? They said, it was an earthquake that happened, it just occurred, Now, we have to figure out how to rebuild. And we have to figure out how to rebuild better. We have to figure out how to rebuild for a better future. So that They don't want it. There was no sense of hopelessness whatsoever in the conversation. They didn't even focus on what they had lost, material loss. They only focused on what could become. And from that, I came back here and I said, what could become of us as students, of us as human individuals, of us as a society? What could become? It's not what is. What could we be? And that, I guess, is where the root of my activism, the root of my optimism is.
I think about so many books have been written about war, but as you're speaking, and you and Asa were speaking, so many of these books are really about the lives people are leading, during those times.
I was actually in Istanbul when that earthquake happened. And I mean, both of you made this really important point that a lot of us just sort of assume oh man, like that's really rough that those people went through that. I have no idea what they're going to do then. Their lives must be awful. And we always ignore the fact that there is a sort of undeterring hope that exists in the lives of these, especially in the church. Like you experienced that when we were there in Turkey. That in Istanbul, we're reading the papers, and I'm talking to my friends, saying, oh man, what are they going to do? But you're right, there's this undeterred optimism and sort of hope that, all these things. It's a really important place.
We've been talking for quite some time, and we're actually over the time that as a panel we had, but I think we could take one or two questions from our loyal audience. Yes.
Hello, my name is Lana Hijazi. I'm from Gaza Strip, and I lived. I started my life as a refugee, and continued living under wars till I came here as a student. And it's really tough now when I think about what happened and happening in Gaza. I believe that peace could happen between Palestinians and Israelis for a long time till the war 2012 happened, because I was really very optimistic. And when that thing happened, I felt there is no peace till there is justice. So my question would be, how would you still believe in peace when you feel that there is a continuous injustice happening to you and your people?
Is peace possible when there's continuing injustice? Well, you've done some work on Palestinian and Israeli issues.
One of the questions among the ones that we discussed was peace and justice. And peace does have many different meanings, and some people would define it only in terms of it being equitable and just. No peace, no justice, no peace. But then, of course, people disagree about what is justice. So, I hardly can answer. I'm sorry, I really couldn't hear your question in full. I gather it is about how can the Israeli-Palestinian conflict be
reconciled, right? Without justice.
Without justice, yeah. Well, the reconciliation is usually a word. Sometimes it means to reconcile yourself to what you cannot change, as well as reconcile yourself to what cannot be undone. Certainly, the asymmetry of power differences are such that it's not likely without some changes in that a fairly equitable, mutually acceptable accommodation might be reached. And for that, it probably means that more parties have to be involved. I think there are some signs of that. I think that seen progress that has been made at times, and then frustrated by those who would say no deal that's acceptable to the other side is acceptable to us. So I've given all the emphasis that was given to be hopeful and don't feel hopeless. That's one where I think many people do despair. I hesitate really to try to say more in any feasible. I have no wise thing to say in a very brief time, or probably not even overall.
Any other questions?
I think I'm going to speak a little bit more on this
sure.
question.
Yeah.
And I think Professor Peaceberg looked at this, I guess, from a very international relations perspective. How can state and non-state actors come in and reconcile conflict? But I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Lana, you can correct me, you're looking at this from a more personal, individual level. Like you said, how can we not lose hope in the face of injustice? As an individual.
That's right.
Okay. This is going to be very difficult and probably politically fraught thing to say. So I'm going to walk on eggshells here. But one of the main things that I see in many conflict zones, whether it be the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, whether it be conflict in Bosnia, and let it be heard that war doesn't end with the last shot fired, nor does it begin with the first shot fired. But war doesn't end with